When I was in high school, my parents gave me control of my bar mitzvah gift money, roughly $12,000. They thought that I would lose it all and that it would be a good lesson. I was already a tennis player. I was already into college, early admission, but I got injured, so I had a lot of time on my hands. And I really got into the stock market and I wanted to grow my 12,000. So at first I invested in big companies that, you hear about on CNBC, but my money just didn't really grow. And I gravitated towards lower price stocks. And that way my account grew. And, senior year of high school, I went from 12,000 to over 100,000. And then freshman year in college, I went from 100,000 to roughly 800,000. And then by the time I graduated college, I was at nearly 2 million. So for a middle-class kid like me, that was something pretty crazy. And I've just been in the stock market ever since. I mean, I was definitely in the right place at the right time in the beginning. I was there during the stock market bubble of 1999 and 2000, but a lot of people made money then and then they lost it all in 2001, 2002. I did not lose it all. I actually made my second million in 2001, 2002 by learning short selling. So I definitely had a little luck, but then it comes down to planning and preparation and adapting. It's not just good enough to make $1 million once. Obviously, that's good money, but if you truly want success and you want to be a multimillionaire, you have to try different strategies. You always have to keep learning, keep adapting to the stock market or whatever industry you're in. And over time, you see, how you do, and you can keep track based on, your success in whatever industry you're in.
And what were some of your biggest mistakes or biggest failures in trading?
Oh, so many. I was so stupid for so long. It was insane. Betting too big, going all in on positions, thinking that I'm definitely going to be right, trusting one of my investments, like ignoring my trading rules and actually just investing in a company, believing a family friend, and that investment went bust. I lost several $100,000. So I try and teach from my successes and my failures. My losses are usually less than 1% of my account. Usually it's just a few $100s max because, again, I'm watching the stock so closely. And because I know that what I'm doing is risky, because I know that 90% of traders lose, I know the odds are against me. So if the stock is going the wrong way, for whatever reason, I accept it, I move on, and then, I try and reevaluate and do better.
I'm a competitor. I like to win at everything I do, whether it be athletics, whether it be trading, whether it just be life. If there's something where I have a chance to beat someone, I'm going to go for it. It doesn't necessarily mean I need to win, but I'm going to, I like the competition. I believe competition makes everyone better and it motivates us to do our best. So I'm a very competitive person, whether it's trading, whether it's, playing football, whether it's just, we can arm wrestle. It doesn't matter what it is. I like to compete. I like to try and win. That's just my type of personality. One of the things that can hurt a trader a lot is just spending too much time in the market. There's no real correlation between time in the market and the money you make, meaning that, someone can spend an hour trading a day and they can make the same amount as someone sitting in front of their computer for 10 hours. What I find is that the more you're in front of your computer and especially on a day where there's nothing happening, there's more temptation to make mistakes. There's more temptation to try and force trades and really let trading become more like gambling. I started trading mainly because I couldn't get a job. I graduated college around the same time as the recession started hitting here, and mailed off application after application after application. Got no responses. I actually applied to go to grad school mainly to buy myself a few years for the job market to get better. And during that time, I had always been interested in investments. My dad raised me. He always taught me, started off, hey, savings account, go from savings account to a CD to a money market. And now that I look back, I had no idea what I was doing. At the time, I thought I did. Again, I've got an office, I've got 2 TVs, I've got stacks of newspapers, Wall Street journals, all of the things that you see on TV that a stock trader is supposed to have. But I really had no idea what I was doing. I didn't have enough money to really make money trading stocks. And unless you're doing penny stocks, it's really hard to make money without a substantial investment. And a friend of mine had introduced me to the Forex market. He said, hey, you know, there's this thing called currency trading where you can trade currencies, and it's kind of like the stock market, but it's highly leveraged. So we can start with a little bit of money and make some money. And at first I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? I never heard of this. And I did some research on it. And of course I fell into the trap of, you hear all the stories about, you know, you can grow your account to $1 million in a year. And I hooked on to that. I said, are you going to tell me I can take a $10,000 account or a $5,000 account, trade currencies, and in a year or two or 5 years or so be a millionaire? I'm in. But it didn't end up that way. I ended up struggling for quite a bit for a few years, just trying to do it on my own. I'm a very stubborn person, so I always think I can do it myself. And I kind of had a reality check that said, hey, this isn't working, get help. And one of the biggest turning points in my career was I was working 3 jobs at the time. I was teaching in elementary school or working with children that had mental and behavioral disabilities. I was coaching track, and I was also a janitor. So I was cleaning toilets and cleaning banks at night, which wasn't the best situation, but it paid the bills, and going to grad school at the same time. And I remember it got to the point where I was still looking at trading as a hobby. I wasn't giving it my all. And I made the decision. I said, hey, I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit these jobs and focus fully on trading, just because the type of person I am, when my back's to the wall, I'm going to do something about it. So I had to put myself in that position. This is going to be the turning point. And I kind of immersed myself in that trading and said, hey, I'm going all in. It's do or die time, and let that competitive beast come out of me. I'm either going to win or lose this game. And, you know, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a competitor. I don't like to lose. So I did everything I needed to do, to become successful. After taking the course, I came out and I started managing money. I had a few connections from the days of doing stock investments. So I knew a few people that had some good income, levels. And I actually started managing money right when I came out of his course, or a few months afterwards. And I was going to go full time doing that. I was going to manage money, take commissions, all of that fun stuff. And it was looking pretty bright. Again, I had a client that started off. He gave me a $250,000 to begin with, and said, "Hey, you do what you need to do with this, and if it goes right, I've got 4 or 5 partners of mine that are willing to give you the same thing and more." So I'm counting in my head again. I'm saying, okay, 5 years, I'll be a millionaire. These guys are giving me, I'll be managing this many $1 million and making this much commission. And I was actually pretty successful at first. But what happened was the client just wasn't satisfied. I was making a smooth 2 to 3% return per month, which was my goal. But this particular client wanted more. He said, "Hey, you're doing good, but I think we should increase the position size." I'm like, well, if you increase the position size, we increase the risk, and the goal was a slow, steady return. And at the end of the day, he just didn't want to hear that. And I tripled the position size essentially right when the drawdown hit. And one of the stories I always told to my traders is I lost almost $30,000, within a few weeks. I was just done with trading for about a week. The competitor in me says, "Hey, you're not a quitter. Let's go for it." So a week later, I turned on my computer, and to my surprise, I saw that if I would have just followed my plan and traded through, if I wouldn't have taken that week off, not only would I have earned back the $30,000 that I lost, but I would have earned back another $30,000 on top of that. And that was crushing. That was the worst. And I worked on my trading. I went back to the basics, worked on discipline, psychology, and
started a long time ago, about 10 years ago. My brother, Jamie Turner, he is a banker and a trader at that particular bank. And, I saw him fooling around these trading platforms, and, I got a little curious, and he gave me some information about how it works and how you can trade and how you can make some money. So I, got a demo account, got started, eventually moved on to a live account. But, I thought I knew something when I started to trade, but I found out that I knew nothing at all. You thought it was something easy, easy to do. So I blew up quite a few accounts. I must admit, I blew up quite a few accounts, 10, 20 maybe.
Wow,
couple thousand,
that's huge. Okay, that's a lot.
I mean, getting my wife on my case saying, "Man, why don't you, put this aside? It's not working out." But as I said, never give up. Believe in yourself. It's a long road, and it could have been shorter if I had only stuck to a trading plan and stuck to what the professionals have always been saying. Have a good plan. Have a good risk reward in your plan, and just follow it. And you pretty much make it. Yeah. Traders who are doing well, readings as to what work, certain patterns that persons are looking for with your Fibonacci retracement, your Fibonacci expansion, your chart patterns, your wedges, your double bottoms, double tops, channels, your cipher patterns. So, putting all of these together and also having that risk to reward ratio, placing your stop loss, putting your limits. And, I remember back then when I used to trade, there's a psychological issue that I believe that I can't really speak for the traders, but you'll be in a trade and the trade is going against you. But in your mind, you're saying that if I don't close the trade, I have not won nor lost. So you allow a losing trade to go all the way till margin call takes out that trade. Sometimes those losing trades, will turn around, but it is the exception and not the rule. So what you'll find is that, you will lose pretty much all your capital if you go that route. You backtest your plan, make sure that it is working before you go live, because, if you go live and you lose your money, then frustration sets in. And when that sets in, you say to yourself that all I'm going to do is put in some more money, then you're going to over leverage to try and make back the money that you lost. And when you lose it again, you keep doing the same thing and you're stuck in a cycle, because all you're trying to do is to make back the money that you lost, instead of really learning the art of trading.
I did put in a lot of background work. If people watch my blogs, they realize that, hey, how come, Karen, why are you reading books all day long? Yeah, that's the only thing that you do, is literally. I put in a lot of work when it comes to, on those days, holidays, when your college mates are going out shopping, are going out dating, then I will stay at home and I'll read book after book, and then I'll test my charts. I'll test it at least for 6 hours a day. From morning all the way, I'll test until night time, until I'm satisfied with the system that I'm trading. And yeah, like you said, it took, I guess, more than 5,000 hours of hard work, of learning, of making mistakes. I would say that the best lessons that I've learned are from my mistakes, of blowing tons and tons of accounts my first 2 years of trading. The best lessons in life really came from our mistakes. So one very important thing for traders, is to learn from every trade that they make. When I started to become profitable, I realized that my issue is not that my system is not good. Alright? My main issue is that I was struggling with my trading psychology, with my emotions. And back then I couldn't manage my risk properly. I was over leveraging, over trading, and doing lots of beginner mistakes. So this one realization helped me went from going in the reds to gradually breaking even, then gradually becoming profitable.